Hello, it's Jimmy here, the Righties. I have here a Peugeot partner van, or a Citroen Berlingo, basically the same. It's got an issue with, I believe to be DeNox sensor, so he's had a scan tool on it, sent me a picture of a code which I believe to be the NOx sensor. Let's get inside and have a look. Okay, so inside the van, we don't currently have a warning on there by the looks of it just yet. Let's give it a minute. Sometimes he'll get fault come up here, but he said it is intermittent. He can clear the fault and it might last a day and then it'll come back on again. So I don't know if he's already cleared it. Looks like he has, because it's not coming up. So if I use the Launch UK Euro tab 3, we'll do an intelligent scan and it'll find the vehicle for me, and then we can just do a quick code read and see what fault codes we have. Okay, so now we're in on the vehicle. We'll do high speed scan. Let's see what faults that we have here. So like I said, the customer has already sent me a picture of a fault code that he's been deleting, but it consistently comes back. Just waiting for it to scan through the rest of these modules. Oil gauge fault, illumination of third, and then we've got U029D, fault communication with the DeNox system, no communication. P2200, NOx sensor component detected, communication on the emission control network. Let's go in here and let's have a look at data stream, see what information. I can't remember. Don't really do a lot of these NOx sensors anymore, just because they're really difficult for me to get hold of them, and I don't usually book them in because of that. See what we have here. Quantity of urea, temperature of the DeNox, pressure, DeNox system 2, NOx content downstream, upstream. Just see what else we have here. Anything to do with the NOx sensor, could be the NOx sensor itself, or anything related basically. Let's just have a look at those two. Right, so we're not getting much of it from that, because these are all just standard readings, because it's not really even activated. DeNox system 1, DeNox system 2, that's about it. We'll just go underneath, we'll check the voltages are at the pins for the NOx sensor itself, so where the plug comes into these pins here, we're going to check that we've got power running to the NOx sensor, and if we have got power, then it's going to point to a faulty NOx sensor, so we'll just replace that. If we haven't got power, unfortunately it gets a little bit more complicated. Have we got a wiring issue or ECU problem? The first thing I'll do is spray this up, some penetrating fluid. It's the one from Launch there. It's going to let that sit for a few minutes. Then if we follow this cable back over here, we have the unit here that we're going to get removed. Get these bolts undone. How many have we got? I think we should have 2. Or is that just a yeah, that's just a clip. So we've got 1 bolt. Get this down, and the other side should just pull out. Okay, so we've got this little plastic casing off. Now we have this here. We're going to try and test the wiring to it. Right, so I can see there we have 12 volts power supply into it, and I can also see we're getting signal there to it as well. And the big reveal is, can we open the sensor, or is it going to thread out? So it looks like it's coming so far. Right, so we've got that out. I think some of that penetrating fluid got in there. You can see there. That is the tool that we used for it, 22mm crow's foot spanner. a nice big heavy duty one. Now this new sensor, it's got some anti-seize grease on it already, so we'll get this fitted in. Okay, now we've got the new sensor all bolted in. We just fitted it along here into these little areas, back in the plastic casing, and then we can just plug it back in. And then you've got your little plastic tab there, just make sure it's locked. Okay, now the sensor's been fitted, we'll come back in here. We're going to look at special functions, replacement parts, emissions control, and have we got the DeNox sensor? There it is. Switch off the ignition and wait for 30 seconds. What I usually like to do before I do this is open the door, close it. It just makes the screen go off, and you're going to make sure everything's going to shut down. And I give it about 5 or 10 seconds before I actually press this, because sometimes the 30 seconds is not enough. And so shortly afterwards, this light, interior light, should go off. Okay, so that is now reinitialized the DeNox sensor. Now we can go back and clear the fault memory. Now we need to read the codes first, it says. So read, and then we can clear. So now we're going to try and come back and have a look at some of these live data. What we'll do is come back from this one and go to DeNox 1, operating status, the bleed status, and the pressure of the AdBlue system. We'll want to wait until that activates and see if the pressure builds up. I'm just going to hold the revs to get the system warmed up. Once it's reached temperature, it should then reach about 5.5 bar on here. So there we go, pressurization phase has started and we're up to 6 bar now. That'll slowly come down to about 5.5 bar. There we are. And if we come back to DeNox system 2 and we look at these again, see if anything's changed there yet. I think the car's got to be driving for these to actually give you a correct reading, but the heating is not activated yet. Let's take the vehicle on a test drive. Okay, test drive done. Now this is fluctuating between sort of 16 to 50 ppms, and if we hold the revs up, do like a 3000 rpm, it's around 120. I do need a little bit more experience with these AdBlue systems, because you know, I don't really see a lot, because like I said, I don't really get too much involved with AdBlue, because I do find them a bit of a pain getting a hold of parts. So when people come for AdBlue faults, you usually need a NOx sensor that can take sometimes 3 to 6 weeks to get hold of, or an AdBlue tank, and there's not something that you can sort of repair there and then. Now that we give it a rev, let it idle, and it's down around sort of 10 ppms now, that will go back up again, I think. But yeah, I do need a little bit more experience on looking at a few of these readings on what is a good reading and what's a bad one. But as far as I'm aware, anything under 50 at idle is good. But that doesn't mean that it's this is not testing the actual NOx sensor itself. This is just reading the effectiveness of the catalyst now. Now that we're back here, you can go in, read the faults, just make sure that they're gone. And what we will do is we'll clear the BSI faults as well. Just a little clear from there. Oh, that doesn't work. That didn't work, did it? Let's have a look what's going on. Okay, that's done, so we're left with 2 faults in there about the headlight. And we're all done. So that's it, I'm all done on this one, and I'll see you in the next video.